intro. It was a dark and stormy night. No, wait, that can't be right. Ah, here it is. It was just another average day of school. All right, class, it's time to take a quiz on that book chapter you didn't read. Ah, meow. Psst. Hey, Lisa. What? What was the chapter on? Didn't you look it up during study hall? I forgot we had a quiz. Dude, we have a quiz like every day. Here you go! Boy! So English classes. I took a class called AP English my senior year of high school. Now, if you know what AP means, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, Holly, you must be really good at English to be in AP English. Which means advanced placement. Ha, no. I'm really not good with the English language as a whole. Don't get me wrong, I can do creative writing just fine, but what I struggle with is grammar and spelling. Dun dun dun, bum bum bum, dun dun dun. For as long as I can remember, I've never really been good at grammar or spelling. I think my brain just doesn't deem it worthy enough to remember. Like, I got other things to worry about than what a gerund is. Alright, here's a breakdown of the class. First we have our teacher. Hello! Some interesting things about him include 1. He loves the book To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. 2. He would quote the ever-so-popular movie Mean Girls often. The only reason I tolerate that cultural reference. 3. He had fabulous quotes that people would post on Twitter. 4. His tiny office became the school library after they replaced everything with Chromebooks. What the frick? Where's the library? I'm whispering because I'm supposed to be in a library right now. And my personal favorite, he told us that he was named after a box of tissues. I don't know if this is true, but knowing him, it probably was. So, we'll just call him Mr. Scott. I think that should be a pretty good indication of how this class went. Half the time we were just having a grand old time, and the other half was spent watching the Greek play Oedipus on YouTube. It's so strange. Like, I know the masks are to show expression and tradition and all that, but come on! This is frickin' terrifying! Next, we gotta mix in some classmates into our story stew. There were 2 blocks, or classes, of AP English. First, there was Block 5, the superior block, and then there was Block 2, also known as the boring block. In Block 5, we got me, my friend Lisa, this kid named Reed, who was the salutatorian, that means second in the class, and spelled truly wrong in one of my friend's yearbooks. And this was after we took the class. I know I said I was bad at spelling, but he was second in the class, and I was like 27th or something out of like 92 students, cause small high school. The rest of the class featured some annoying people, some less annoying people. In the other less important, Block 2, we have my friend Jess, a kid I despise, more annoying people, and people I don't remember, so I just replaced them with extras. See, I told you that block was boring. Also, I don't know if this is very important, but block numbers refer to what time of the day the class was at. So, Block 1 was at 8 a.m. to 8:45 a.m., Block 2 was at 8:50 a.m., and so on and so forth. Block 5 was typically after lunch depending on your schedule, and was my favorite block of the day because everyone was usually more energetic since we had just shoved molasses brownies and rectangular pizza down our throats. Even though the class was fun, we still had a lot, and I mean a lot, of reading, essays, and projects that were due, to the point where we had something due almost every single day. How did I survive? Shmoop. The answer is Shmoop. Some of you probably thought I was going to say Cliff Notes, but nope! I tried Cliff Notes, and I honestly think Shmoop is the better option if you ain't got time for that. I remember this one time I forgot to write an essay for insert poem and painting, blah 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 blah, and so I was haphazardly throwing together this one-page essay in the very few minutes before class started. I'm pretty sure Mr. Scott saw me frantically writing down this very essay right here, and somehow I managed to get an A? Like, good evidence. Where? What? Doesn't make any sense. Also, I think this paper was corrected with a whiteboard marker, or possibly a Sharpie. And my name's written with a whiteboard marker, so that's fun. I remember for a different essay, I was really obsessed with adjectives and using obscure synonyms for my writing. So I went a little overboard, and Mr. Scott was like, bruh, I can't even read this. Does this convey truth? And so I got a C. I don't understand this system. Once, Mr. Scott told us that there was a warm spot under the shelf in his office, so he would crouch there to read when it got cold. And it gets cold a lot here, because I live in the Midwest. Another great tale is what I like to call the walkie-talkie incident. Basically, all the teachers had walkie-talkies. Why? I have no idea. I don't remember why they had them, but that's not what's important here. What matters is that I remember hearing this noise all day long. In my morning math class, during study hall, choir, religion, anatomy, ceramics. You get the idea. Some people probably found this annoying, but I was just curious as to what the noise was. And I didn't figure it out until I saw this tweet of another teacher complaining about Mr. Scott's walkie-talkie problem. Oh! It was Mr. Scott all along! The teachers didn't get to keep their walkie-talkies after that. And our last story for today involves a dog. No, not that dog. This dog. The class was split up into groups, and each group was assigned to read a piece of literature and act out a scene from it. I don't remember who was in my group or what we did, but this story is about Lisa's group. The group she got put into was assigned the book of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I don't really recommend reading this, and neither does Lisa, and also, spoiler alert, they decided to do the scene where the dog gets shot. Yeah, I know. I don't know whose idea it was since it's such a sad scene. Like, it's really sad. Anyways, that one kid Reed was in her group, and he was the dog. Now, since everyone in the class had only read the book that was assigned to their group, the rest of the class hadn't read of Mice and Men, so we had no idea what was coming. We all watched their attempts at acting out the scene, and all I remember is that Reed was smiling like the oblivious dog he was. He didn't really understand the concept of, like, art or theater at all, which makes this kind of funny. And then one of the characters took him out into the hallway, and I heard one of the loudest noises in my entire life. Instead of just stomping their foot on the ground, the person who shot the dog had slammed a thick textbook onto the ground. Good Lord! I honestly wonder what the other classes thought. Like, no one ever really talked about it after that day. But Lisa and I can never forget. Man, that class was something else. Ba-dum-ts. So, while looking for my old AP English papers, I discovered these little quotes or phrases from the ACT practice book. I don't know why I had them, but I'm glad that I kept them. So these are really, really weird phrases, so I'm just going to read them and let them speak for themselves. And then after this, I'm going to include some bloopers, so. Danielle spread frosting liberally on the cat. Fritz had just begun to toast Lydia's marshmallow when the rabbits stampeded. After the incident with the peanut butter, the zebra and I were never invited back. We discovered that the entire family had been devoured by anteaters. It was terrible. Oh! Ah! Why am I doing this? Okay. Oh! Oh!